talking units.
Right.
So you're gonna look at me rather than the camera lens.
Right.
You have
Okay.
a red light. You wanna go on there? Okay. These are questions they're going to be redundant in some cases, especially toward the end. But you may answer them things in a slightly different way.
Sure.
How did you become the coach at Harvard?
Well, I became a freshman coach when in the fall of 1960. I had sort of thought that I might want to go into coaching when I was getting ready to graduate from the University of Pennsylvania, and I made a few inquiries, but nothing came of it. And then I raced at Henley in England in 1959 in a single, and I happened to stay with the Harvard crew who were there, and got talking to the coach who indicated that they were just getting ready to hire somebody. And I made the comment, well, that's too bad. In another year I might be interested. And then about 6 months later, I got a letter from the athletic director saying that they had heard that I might be interested, and was it true? And I said, yes. And there we were. So that's how I became a freshman coach. And unfortunately, the varsity coach, Harvey Love, died of a heart attack during my third year of coaching. And I became the interim varsity coach in 1963.
Now, just to back up, because I realized that you had been on an Olympic team, as I recall. Can you tell us about that?
That was 1960. I rode after I graduated from Penn. I rode in a single in 1959 and 1960 with the hope of making the Olympic team, and I made the Pan American Games team in 1959 and won the Pan American Games out in Chicago. And then I did make the team in 1960 and placed fifth at the Olympics in Rome. It's sort of a funny story. When I wrote back to the Harvard athletic director saying, yes, I was interested, he was currently the chairman of the Olympic Rowing Committee and very conscious of all their rules. And he said, well, fine, inasmuch as you're a candidate for the Olympic team, we shouldn't talk about this anymore. And there it was. And I said, well, what? So do I have a job or don't I? So we didn't talk about it anymore until September.
How do you think rowing has changed since you started coaching?
Well, rowing has not changed a lot since I started coaching. On the surface, yes. But the beauty is that the basics are still very much the same. A good rowing stroke is still a good rowing stroke. Good technique is still good technique. And the equipment has changed. The boats have gone from wood to fiberglass to carbon fiber, and the oars have gone from wood to Teflon, or not Teflon, but Kevlar to carbon fiber. And the blade shape has changed. It's sort of ironic, though. The blade shape has changed back to something that the crews were experimenting with 100 years ago. So, it has changed. The training has changed, and we think it's more effective, but crews still have rowed very hard for a long time. And, I think the outstanding crews of 30 or 40 years ago would still be outstanding crews today.
Do you think that just in that regard, have the times shown really any significant improvement here?
Yes.
on the Thames?
Yeah, the times have improved in sort of at all distances, but here on the Thames in particular, they've dropped dramatically since the 60s and 70s. We had a great 4-mile race in 1979 where both crews were well under the upstream record, and those times have been broken since then. So, and partially that's because of the improvement of the equipment, and partially improvement in the training.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look at another glass there. Let me scoop this out. I just want to make sure. What qualities do you look for in a varsity oarsman?
Well, part of it's just ability. We look for good rowing skills. Strength, stamina. I mean, mostly we're looking for people who are really effective in making the boat move. The personality traits or character traits that you look for are the fairly obvious ones: competitiveness, high motivation, and perseverance. But you get quite a wide range of personalities within those broad outlines. I mean, you get some pretty unique people, and you get some very interesting blends within each crew.
I notice you change crews. You swap back and forth and to some extent.
We do that. Some years we don't change at all. If things fit together early in the season when we first put the crew together and they continue to perform well, we won't change anything. Other times, we feel as though we haven't quite got it right, or we're not doing quite as well as we expect, so we look for improvement. But normally, all other things being equal, we would prefer to make a selection early in the season and to stay with it and to allow the crew to develop.
Even including their seat.
Yeah, even the seat in the boat. But sometimes there's a funny chemistry involved in crew racing, and even with the same 8 people, sitting in a certain alignment might not quite work. You make a few changes, and suddenly it fits a little bit better.
How did your heavyweight crew do this spring, do you feel?
The varsity crew has raced very well this spring. We've been very pleased. They've raced well every race. They started with a quite exciting victory over Brown, who were the preseason favorites in the East. They lost to Princeton twice, once in our dual race or triangular race actually, and again in the sprints. But they haven't lost to anybody else. They won 2 more tough races against Pennsylvania Navy and also against Northeastern. So they've done well, and they've also raced very well every time that they've raced.
You've already answered for me. Well, this is sort of a continuation of the same question. With a week to go to the boat race, how do you feel about your heavyweight crew right now?
I feel good about the crew. They're rowing well right now. We've just come through a 2-week exam period, which is difficult because you can't train as much. The oarsmen don't get as much sleep. They're distracted, but they seem to be recovering from that. And as long as we are able to get a little more good work in down here, I think that they'll be ready for a good race.
This last question. Why will your heavyweights beat Yale?
Well, we don't ever say will. I mean, if they do, it's because they've trained very hard all year and because they're rowing very well, and more importantly, because they race really hard. You don't win down here without all the ingredients. You have to do the homework ahead of time. You have to prepare thoroughly, and then you have to be prepared to race very, very hard. The last 10 years or more, all of the races down here have been difficult races, and in order to win, you've got to be prepared to race hard for the full distance.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
No, this is a continuation of the Harry's one. So you're following Harry. Harry's question.
Okay, where do you want me to stand?
You can stay right at the viewfinder. Just let me here like this. Okay. Well, this is off the record, first of all. Tell me your name and spell it for me and your class.
Okay, yeah, I'm Wayne Pommen of class of '02, WAYNE POMMEN.
Okay. Actually, if you could run to the...
Do you want a chair? Or you're gonna stay over
Yeah, I'm
here?
going to stand and...
No, not you.
but you-
Yeah, I'll stand.
Okay. You can do this if you want. Okay. We have a red light, I assume? So-
Yes, you do.
Okay. There's the airplane overhead. We're going to go anyway. How did you get started as an oarsman?
I started in high school, I guess, when I was in 11th grade, and my high school had a pretty good team, and I had a couple of friends who'd tried it and they enjoyed it, so I got started there, and then I sort of a natural progression from then on. I went into a club program, and then when I came to Harvard, it was sort of one of my main reasons for coming here, and it's become a big part of my life since then.
Can you tell us your position on the boat and what you think the duties are of that particular position?
Well, I'm in the bow seat, and they always say the bow seat's very important for setting up the boat and maintaining the balance, because they say the boat for the bow pair is a little more responsive to the balance for the movements of those people in the bow. So I guess that's the main thing. And they say, trying to having a qualified bow person, they can really sort of together with the stroke, sort of bookend the boat and keep the rhythm going with everyone in between. So that's what they say. I mean, I guess I buy it.
You've just come from your spring season. Can you tell us how you and your team did?
We were pretty happy with the spring. We got off to a really exciting start, beating Brown, which was regarded as one of the top teams in the country. They'd been the victors at the Eastern Sprints earlier on, or I guess it was the year before. And our only loss this year was to Princeton, which hurt a little bit. We were hoping to be able to take it all at the Eastern Sprints, but Princeton was ahead of us. But we got silver at the Eastern Sprints. We were happy with that. So I guess we're pretty pleased with how we did going into this, and we're hoping to cap off a good season with a win here.
What do you think makes a good oarsman?
Good oarsman? Definitely a lot of factors go into being a good oarsman. Obviously being powerful, being able to pick up the technique, but there's just a lot of determination and a lot of dedication that goes into it. There's just so many hours that we put in every year and that we have to balance with our academics. It just takes someone who can really commit totally to the sport and really just put in the time that is the type of person that's going to succeed. And also, I think someone who's mentally tough. I mean, you can't race 4 miles if you're the type of person that's going to be likely to fold or be likely to give up when the going gets tough. So I think probably the best rowers are some people that are pretty tough upstairs, in my experience, anyways.
Can you describe the feeling of being in a fast-moving eight?
Yeah, being in a fast boat, there's no feeling like it, and you only get so many chances, I think, in your rowing career to be a part of a really good eight. And when things are going well, it's just incredible. The boat's swinging together, everyone's accelerating the boat together, and just sort of feel, I mean, it's pretty cliched, you hear people talk about it all the time, but you just really feel like you're just flying along, just floating, sometimes almost effortlessly. You sort of, the ease with which the boat moves sort of belies the amount of effort that's actually going into moving it. It's really exciting.
Do you have any racing anecdotes? You've been racing for a while now. Anything that stand out in your mind?
Racing anecdotes. You mean a particularly exciting race, or?
Yeah, or something that happened during the race or after the race or before the race?
Let me think. What races that I was specifically involved in?
Yeah.
Let me think now. What's a good race? Just, I think just any race where you can actually come from behind to win is just a really exciting way to do it. If you get down, if you're down to a crew, it's just a really exciting and amazing effort to be able to turn things around and pull through the crew to win. I think any situation where you do that just makes the race extra special and extra exciting. I think it was also an interesting race the first time I raced here, which was freshman year. We'd been racing 2,000 meters all year, and we were really good sprinters, and we got down here, and we thought, well, the race is only a little bit longer than our 2,000 meter race, which is 1.6 miles, and we were ready to race 2 miles, and swallowed a bug there.
Okay.
Probably ruined your good quote. Should I start again? Or?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, one interesting race was when we were down here freshman year. We'd had a really good sprint season, racing 2,000 meters, and we got down here and we saw that our race was 2 miles as freshmen, and it's only slightly longer than our sprint racing distance. So we thought we could sort of go out there and race it like a 2,000 meter race, and think of each half mile as sort of a 500 meter piece. And after about 2,000 meters, we were pretty tired, and it was really painful the last few minutes, but we managed to stay ahead. So that was satisfying, and I think we learned a lot about how to pace ourselves in a longer race down here.
You're going through the final week of preparation before the boat race. How do you think you're doing? How do you think your team is doing?
Yeah, I feel like we've been getting faster every day since the Eastern Sprints, which was 2 weeks ago. I'm really happy with how the boat's going. Right now, our captain is actually feeling a little under the weather, so we've been rowing with a substitute. But the boat's still feeling really good. We're happy with how things are going, and with a few days to go, I don't foresee any big problems that I'm concerned about. It's just going to be a matter of going out there and just going as fast as we can, and hopefully getting ahead and staying ahead. Not overconfident, but I think I'm really confident with how things are going. Last year, we won with a crew that I think is not nearly as good as the one we have this year. So I'm really happy with how things are going.
Great, thank you. D-wire?
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Good luck.
You can go back and do your thing over there. Okay. Could you
It's a little bit high here. The one
high? Oh, that's okay. He'll be center screen. Well, close enough. Could you spell your your name and your class name?
My name's Caleb Bayers, CalebBeyers, and I'm sophomore, class of 2003.
I know, everyone's so crazy. How'd you get started as an oarsman?
I know I was in a public high school in British Columbia, and a couple of friends went to the national championships the year before and did pretty well. And I had nothing to do one day after school and decided to try out. Sort of went from there, I guess. Just we had a good program. My coach was an Olympian, because I lived Victoria's in that Canadian National Training Center, and that's where I'm from. So good programs right there, and just got going.
And you're what year are you at school?
I'm sophomore.
You're a sophomore.
Yeah.
Tell us your position on the boat and how it works with the rest of the crew.
I'm in 2-seat, and it's way up in the bow. I think it's more of a technical seat, I think. It's basically to sort of control, maybe rush from the bow if the middle of the boat's rushing, and you can feel that a lot up in the bow, and you can sort of make an effort to slow it down, and I guess just feel the balance a little more. It's a little more telling up in the bow for what the boat's doing. You can really feel what's going on, because if the boat's moving around, it's amplified up in the bow, so you can smooth those things out the best you can, I guess.
You've just completed your spring season. How'd you feel you did?
I think we did really well. We opened with a win against Brown, and I think that was very unexpected for me, anyways. Being a sophomore in the boat, not really knowing what the whole varsity thing is about. I expected Brown to be really, really fast. They won sprints last year, and we did that, and it really gave us a good confidence boost. And I think our loss to Princeton was a little bit down, but think we knew that we could have rode a lot better. And when sprints came, we knew we were going to be in there. And I think we rode the best race we could have rode. I did anyways. I mean, I think most of the guys feel the same way. I think Princeton was just a really good crew. There's not a whole lot you can do, you know.
What do you think makes a good oarsman?
It's hard to say. I think a good feel for the boat, a good sense of what makes the boat move, how to get connected between your oar handle and your feet, making sure that when you're moving towards the bow, you're making the boat move as well, and just a general feel for rhythm and ratio, how to feel your stroke man, how to make sure you're doing the same thing that he's doing and sort of transferring it through the boat. It's not about just going out there and working as hard as you can. I think it's about feeling how the crew's moving and just becoming a part of that instead of doing your own thing. If you can effectively work with the crew, you can make it go faster.
Good. Any racing anecdotes that you can think of, things that have happened to you?
Over my whole racing career?
Well, especially since being at Harvard, I guess.
I don't know, really. I think no races really stand out. I think sprints was one of my most memorable races. This last year, I think I've never raced so high as far as cadence goes before, and I think we rode a great race. I just remember our coxswain calling us up to a 39 at 1,000 meters to go, and I just knew that we were going to be able to do it. It was a really good feeling to know that you could hang on to 39 strokes a minute and take it all the way.
All the way to the line?
Yeah.
Well, you're going into your last week before the boat race. So how do you feel?
I'm a little nervous. Last year, as a freshman, our crew wasn't great. I think we thought we were a lot better than we actually were, and so we didn't really get up for the race. We figured, it would be a pushover, seeing that we beat them at sprints, but I guess I just didn't realize. I guess none of us realized that it was such a different race. Even the difference between 2K and 2 miles is a big difference, and so we didn't get up for it and ended up getting beaten. And this year, Yale was a lot closer to us at sprints, and it's a lot different race. It's 4 miles versus 2K, so I'm a little worried about what Yale can do, but I really think that we can. If we row a race, we can do the job. They've been here for a few weeks longer than us at their training center, so I think they have a one-up in that respect. But I really think we can do it. Feels good to be rowing, to be going out there and rowing well. It's really encouraging, I think.
Great, thank you. Okay. Oh, could you start by, this is off the record, but could you tell us your name, spell your name, and give us your class?
Okay. Full name, Michael Blomquist, Blomquist. I'm a sophomore, class of 2003.
Okay. How did you get started as Northern?
Long story. I went off to boarding school as a sophomore in high school. And I'm from North Carolina originally. And so baseball's huge down there. But I sort of wanted to try something new. And so I tried, and people had kept on going up to me in the fall and like, oh, so you're gonna row in the spring, you're a big kid, I was about 6'5", 165. So you know, I went out and loved it, loved every minute of it, and did every spring from then, and then up to now. So.
Can you tell us the position you row in a boat, and what do you think the responsibility of that position is?
I row 4-seat. It's, well, I guess at this level, every seat has a big responsibility in that you can easily affect every other person in the boat with how you're rowing every day and with every stroke. But customarily, I think that 4-seat is basically just a hammer, to say the least. Like, basically, you'll sit there and pull, and you go in and out with everyone else, and you try to help get some raw horsepower in the boat. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm a technical wizard, so I figured that's much to the point.
Okay. You've just finished your spring season. How'd you feel Harvard did?
We did all right. I thought we learned a lot this season, and you know, I wish we could have caught Princeton, but I think it's a good base for next year. Like, I did much better this year than I did last year as a freshman, but I guess I'm really excited of how the freshmen did and how sort of they're a really fast class, and they're going to come up and make it really tough next year to make the boat again, hopefully. You know, and just hopefully win it next year. Like, you know, sprints, it wasn't the finish that we would have wanted or which we thought we could have had, but you know, I was excited to, you know, move up a couple places then from last year.
What do you think makes a good oarsman?
That's probably the toughest answer, in that there are many things that make a good oarsman. Like, you can be a strong oarsman and not technically sound, and be beaten by a little scrawny guy who's technically sound. I think someone who has a very good level of endurance with the ability to have just raw horsepower, and someone who can not break. Like, what it comes down to is someone who can just keep on pulling and no matter what, go full tilt the entire race. That's what Harry tries to teach us.
What do you think of Harry as a coach?
He is completely different from any other coach I've ever had in any other sport. Having done basically every sport possible as a child, his philosophies of sort of letting us sort of learn for ourselves how everything goes, it works. Like, I love it. Like, he is not he will not give you that much sort of accolades or blow you up or anything like that. He won't sort of give you small little, I don't know how to say it, sort of, he won't always say, you know, great job, something like that after everything. You know, it's all just, you do it for your own personal benefit. Like, he makes it so that you are rowing for yourself. And, you know, if you get a nice job out of it, that's just an added bonus. And that's sort of, it makes you want to, like, when you're going into a race, you're not worried that you're not going to live up to his standards to do as well as he wants, because he's prepared you as well, and as long as you make your concerted effort to do it, he's going to think that, you know, you had a good race. You know, he might not be as pleased if, you know, Eastern Sprints, we came in second. Everyone was a little bummed out about it, but it worked out well.
Good.
Good.